Can science really prove that God exists? I mean, can our most powerful tool for understanding the physical world actually tell us anything about, well, the non-physical? That's the core question we're unpacking today.
And the answer, believe it or not, all starts with getting two very different words straight in our heads. Discover versus proof. We kind of throw them around like they're the same thing, but they're not at all. So let's start right there. First up, discovery versus proof. Getting our terms straight is honestly the most crucial first step here.
Okay, so let's break this down. To discover something, that's all about your senses. You see it, you touch it, you witness it directly. Think discovering a new planet with a telescope. But to prove something, that's a whole different ballgame. It's about using evidence and logic to establish a fact, even if you can't see the thing itself.
Right. So, if we're talking about discovering God, well, the conversation's over pretty quick. Science can't pop God under a microscope or find him in a test tube, because by definition, God isn't a physical object in the universe. It's like science is amazing at studying everything inside a box, but it can't study the box maker.
And this is where it gets really interesting. That leads to a much better question. Okay, fine, science can't discover God, but can it find evidence? Clues, fingerprints, signs that point to a creator. Now we're talking.
All right, section 2, clues in the cosmos. Let's go on a hunt and follow the trail of evidence that science has actually uncovered.
Before we even go there, think about this. We believe in unseen things all the time, right? You can't see your own thoughts. You can't put love in a jar. You can't weigh justice on a scale. But we know they're real, 100%. How? Because we see their effects, the impact they have on the world. Here's a cool way to think about it. The architect analogy. Imagine a game developer creates this super complex virtual world. The characters inside that world, well, they can only study their own physics, the rules of their game. They can't just reach out of the screen. So how could they ever figure out a creator exists? They'd have to look for a signature in the design, something in the code that feels intentional.
And this is where it gets wild, because when scientists look at the code of our universe, one of the biggest clues they found is that our universe seems to be, well, exquisitely fine-tuned for life. I mean, check this out. The initial expansion rate of the universe, the Big Bang, had to be precise within this impossibly narrow window. If it was just a fraction faster, everything would have flown apart and no stars or galaxies could have formed. A fraction slower, the whole thing would have collapsed back on itself. The level of precision is just staggering. So what do you do with that? Is this a cosmic accident, or is it a sign of design? That is the big question, right? Did we just win an unbelievable cosmic lottery, or is there something more going on here? Which leads us perfectly into our next section, proof by inference. This is all about how we can know things we've never actually seen with our own two eyes. There's a great quote that puts it perfectly. Science can examine the package, but it cannot step outside to touch the packager. See what that means? Science is the best tool we have for studying what's in the universe, but it can't step outside of it to meet the one who might have wrapped it all up. Okay, let me give you a really simple example. Your great-great-great-grandparent. You've never seen them, right? You've never shaken their hand. But do you doubt they existed? No way. You have birth certificates, old family stores, maybe even your own DNA as evidence. You can prove they were real without ever discovering them. That right there is proof by inference. So inference isn't some second-rate kind of proof. It's a totally valid, logical way of knowing things. It's just about looking at all the evidence on the table and asking, what's the best explanation for all of this? Okay, so where do we go from here? Our last section, a reasoned response. What does all this evidence actually mean for us, for you and me? And look, I get it. A lot of people ask, if the evidence is so strong, why isn't it just obvious? Like a giant billboard in the sky saying, I'm here. It's a totally fair question. Well, one way of thinking about it is this idea of a test of belief. The whole point is that if the proof was so in your face that you couldn't possibly deny it, where's the choice in that? This perspective suggests that we're meant to use our reason to look at the evidence and to make a choice, not just be forced to believe something we see. And what this does is it completely changes the idea of faith. It stops being this blind leap in the dark.
Instead, it becomes a reasoned step, a conclusion you come to based on the evidence you have. So let's bring it all home. Can science discover God in a lab? Nope, not as a physical object. But can science provide proof for God? Well, according to this line of thinking, yes. It can reveal signs and clues in the universe that point toward an intelligent cause as the best explanation. And I'll just leave you with this one last thought to chew on. If the universe really is just a meaningless, random accident, then why are we so obsessed with finding meaning and purpose? Why do our minds even ask the question, why am I here? Maybe the question itself is the biggest clue of all.